Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So, the long intro montage for this episode, that was spent doing all of the anodization on Russ's intercooler tubes and cold parts setup. So, Russ and his wife Katie came down yesterday and we knocked out all of this anodizing, and it's on this cold side intercooler tube. Russ re-anodized his upper radiator hose, did the intake tube in both sections of the hot side intercooler tube, although that is a little bit difficult to see. But if you see down in there some color, and then maybe, probably not so much, but you'll be able to see it from underneath of the car. Everything is anodized and everything is done to the colors and the aesthetic that Russ was after. So it was cool to have that experience and be able to show them the kind of the magic of titanium anodization. And we did some electro anodizing as well on some new exhaust manifold studs that Russ got for this car as well. So with that being said, the engine bay now is completely a wrap as far as the work that I was tasked with for this. So today we are going to move the car up in the air and begin on his new midpipe. So underneath of Russ's car, the construction of this midpipe is going to be maybe slightly tricky. I don't think it'll be the end of the world, but we have at least one big consideration to take into consideration, and that is a secondary muffler. Now that secondary muffler is going to replace probably, I'm not sure exactly where, but at least somewhere in this section on his Tomy catback. I'll end up cutting this slip joint off and putting a V-band flange somewhere up in here. The secondary muffler is going to live kind of in this area around this, or in this gap or this pocket between the chassis and the differential. And like I said, pretty much from here forward on this catback is not going to be a part of this exhaust any longer. Beyond that, the rest of it should be fairly straightforward. Have a section come out of here, take the tube along the chassis, snake over, so on and so forth. That portion should be pretty straightforward and pretty traditional, but it's just that middle section, or I guess rearward section of the midpipe, that's going to be the challenge if there is one with this. After the first day of working on Russ's midpipe, some pretty good progress was made. So I have from the downpipe to that joint welded. The rest of this is tacked together, and I will weld these 3 joints first thing tomorrow morning. And I also have roughly located the, I guess would be the primary muffler, and using my good old-fashioned race ramp trick to hold everything in place. The muffler, its location and kind of orientation and rotation are all subject to change depending on how everything lines up with the actual Tomy, or what's left of the Tomy catback. So I'll need to cut back some of this bend right here. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to go just yet, but from the muffler outlet and this whole muffler section rather, that will be one module. The midpipe will be another module, and that will give Russ the option in the future, if he'd ever want to straight pipe the car and be loud, obnoxious, and everything else, he will have the opportunity to do that just by loosening one V-band, popping a couple of exhaust hangers off, and all will be well that way. So, like I said, tomorrow I can weld these 3 joints and then go from A to B, and then figure out our letter C, which will be the outlet of the muffler, tying into the Tomy section right there. Russ's midpipe is completed, and now I'm moving on to the muffler module, or the tailpipe section of the exhaust. So midpipe wise, here's what we ended up with. Out of the downpipe, comes down, utilizes the factory exhaust pocket kind of in here, avoids the transmount, avoids the body, comes down through the middle of the tunnel and over to where our primary muffler is situated. And it's V-banded prior to the primary muffler. Again, like I said, this will give Russ the opportunity to either have the exhaust with a couple of mufflers, or to have the exhaust be straight piped if and whenever he builds or has me or whoever build a straight pipe module for it. So at this point, it is now time to do a pretty sketchy cut. And I need to cut the Tomy exhaust. I'm going to cut this whole bend off, so it's just this straight section that is left leading into the muffler. And I'm not exactly thrilled about this, but I can't use my holding fixture to make this cut, at least not easily, I don't believe. So that leaves me with having to do it the old-fashioned way, which is to make a fast cut and try not to destroy the blade, try not to destroy the exhaust, so on and so forth. So wish me luck. I'll make this cut, and then it will be smooth sailing, hopefully, from there. Just like that, the tailpipe section of Russ's car is partially welded, fully fabricated, and ready for finish work tomorrow. So, from the primary muffler here, we have a little S-bend coming over to where this little straight section mates up to the Tome exhaust. And then the Tome exhaust comes out the rear. And I tried my best to kind of hold this in position and center the exhaust tip in the cutout in the bumper. So I think that worked out pretty well. I just checked ground clearance and verified with Russ that the ground clearance is good, that everything is adequate on that front. So at this point, I am good to go to weld 2 more joints. And then over on this side, I'll need to build some sort of a hanger coming off the side of the muffler case over to this factory hanger location here. But we are a couple of welds and a little bit of fabrication away from this project being completed. And although I am happy that the project will be over, it's going to be weird not seeing this beautiful car here any longer. But we can at least relish the opportunity to have it here for a little while longer, finish this last little bit of work up, and then give it back to Russ so he can put it back together the whole way, get it running, and enjoy it. Well, with the final installation of the exhaust, tightening down the clamps, and putting the car back on the ground, Russ's RSP Supra project is a wrap. So this was one of my favorite projects to date for one of my favorite people. And the fact that I was able to work with so much titanium on this, and that Russ was so interested in the process with titanium, it makes the project and the effort that much more special. And this car, it is an extraordinarily special car. Between it being a rare Mark IV Supra, and like I said, it's for a really good buddy of mine, this is a project that I will hold near and dear for many moons to come. So everything is a wrap at this point, or at least everything that I was tasked with doing. We have all the intercooler tubing, the intake, manifold modifications, compressor housing modifications, the exhaust, the downpipe, all of that. Everything made out of titanium, and this is a very striking and very incredible setup to look at. And unfortunately, the camera doesn't do the colors justice, but keep in mind and trust me that the vibrance of the colors and how everything kind of plays off of each other between the fasteners and the tubes and everything else, this is just a masterpiece of a setup that I hope Russ gets a ton of enjoyment out of for many, many moons to come. So once again, a massive thank you to Russ for giving me the opportunity to work on this car. And again, like I said, I think earlier in this build series, I never would have thought, even just a handful of years ago, that I would have a Supra of this caliber in the shop, let alone a project that was as large of a scope as this one was. I had a lot of fun with it. I hope that you guys enjoyed coming along for the journey with me and learning about titanium, seeing how all these parts go together, and watching this incredible setup come to life. So, beyond Russ for giving me the opportunity to work on this car, we cannot forget the people that make it possible, and that is the crew over at Ticon Industries. So every bit of titanium that was used on this setup, aside from the Tomy titanium catback exhaust, was all Ticon materials. The tubing, the pie cuts, the flanges, all of the bends, all of the O2 bungs, everything else, all Ticon materials. And as you guys know, if you've been around the channel for any duration of time, Ticon is my sole titanium provider, or titanium materials provider and supplier. And I use them and their materials on every project that I possibly can. Like I said, this was a larger one. We got to use a large amount of their catalog in the construction of all of this. But if you are interested in working with titanium, getting started with titanium, or you are a seasoned titanium welder and fabricator looking for a new supplier, and somehow you haven't heard of Ticon at this point, please check them out. They will be linked in the pinned comment below. And give them a holler for any titanium needs that you may have for your projects, for customer projects, or anything else. But with all of that being said, and with this project finished, that'll be about a wrap for this video and for this build series. So thank you guys, as always, for coming along on all these different adventures and all these different journeys with me. I hope that you guys enjoyed the RSP Supra build series. I know I certainly enjoyed building everything and filming everything and taking you guys along for the ride with me. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank you very much. I love you all, and I look forward to seeing you in future episodes and as we continue to build things and work on cars here. So speaking of that, we have plenty more to do on the old Mark II project. We have some to do on the Mark IV, and I am excited to announce that my SC300 is coming back in probably the next episode for you guys. So we'll get to see that thing, talk about the upcoming plans for it, where I'm planning to go with it, what I'm planning to do with it, and another 2JZ car of my own on the channel I can't be upset about that. So hope that you guys are looking forward to that. I know that I certainly am. But before I drone on any more, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. So as always, be sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, check out the website for manifolds, for merch, for all things good that way. And I will see you all in the next episode.